I recently learned about this really sketchy move that banks are making when they're able to loan out more money than they actually have. So they are creating this money out of thin air. And what blows my mind with this is that people say Bitcoin is this fake internet money and that it's not real, that they can't touch it. But what are these banks doing? They're literally creating funny money and they're not even hiding it. Yet a lot of people just don't know about this. It's this thing called fractional reserve banking. So I'm going to go ahead and break that down for you today if you're not aware of it. I would also love to hear what you think about it. So if you can drop some comments, would like to hear some other people's perspectives also. So this thing that they're doing, it's affecting everything that we have. It's affecting our savings, our debt. It's even Bitcoin. And that's a huge part of why people are turning to Bitcoin. All right, so here's the basic idea of what happens when they do this. So you go to the bank and you deposit $100. By law, the bank only has to actually keep a small percentage of what you're depositing available for you to go and grab. So let's say you deposit $100 and they keep 10%. I think the range is like 0 to 10%. So we'll just go with the max. You have real money, you have $10 in there. They take $90 and they go and they lend that out to somebody else. So in your bank account, you still see $100, but the borrower also now has $90 and magically there's $190 in the system, even though you only started with $100. So they are literally creating this money out of thin air. And also, it doesn't even matter that it's located in different banks because it's all still part of the central banking system. So it's just all one and the same. Okay, quick pause here. If this is already blowing your mind and you want to learn more about Bitcoin and have a different money mindset, make sure you hit subscribe. Banks are loving this system, obviously. They're making huge profits off of us. They're collecting interest on money that they didn't even have in the first place. So it just keeps our whole economy running on debt. We are just a credit and debt driven economy. And this is why you hear about bank runs happening. I've heard about this before, but I never really had looked into it. And these bank runs, this is exactly what's feeding that. And it's pretty scary because it's been happening forever. So if you look back at like the Great Depression, it happened in small ways in 2008. And then even as recent as 2023 at Silicon Valley Bank happened as well. So I'm confident this is gonna keep happening, but I think it's good for everybody to really educate themselves and know that this is a risk that you take when you put your money into the bank. And you're handing over your money, you're putting it and your trust into that, and you would expect when you go to the bank, you would get the money that you own out. I think it's kind of interesting. I'm curious as to how it's going to affect Bitcoin when people can then store their Bitcoin into a bank. Obviously, they can't create more Bitcoin, but what are they going to do to help them to continue to make more money? It really frustrates me when I'm looking at this and I'm seeing how much money I'm paying in loans, how much interest, because they're making me pay an interest fee on something that they just created out of nowhere. They're doing that with mortgages. They're just creating some numbers on a sheet, say, okay, well, we're gonna give you this money and you're gonna pay all of this money over 30 years. Basically, they're printing money by doing this and using us. Even savings accounts. That's why we get that small percentage in interest back from storing our money into them, because they're paying you this tiny fee so that they can take your money, borrow it, they go and they charge someone else likely a higher fee because you don't really make very much money in a savings account. Once again, using your savings, you're just trying to survive to make money. The whole thing is just this huge business, right? And this system, it just also keeps fueling inflation because they just keep creating more and more money And then the value of our dollar just goes down and down. And of course, everything goes up in price. So it's just like this huge cycle. I'm really curious as to what other people think. Do you think that this is something that our economy needs for growth? Or do you think that this is just adding to our downward spiral? If you could drop your thoughts into the comments, I would love to see what your perspective is, and I'm sure other viewers would really appreciate that too. After learning about this, I can really see why people are turning to Bitcoin to use as a hedge against the dollar and its continued devaluation. You can't create more Bitcoin like we can with the dollar. There's an infinite amount of that. So the next time you go to the bank and you put your money in, or you just even look at your bank account statement, just remember that it's not really sitting there waiting for you. It's already out in the world being lent out and relent, and that's exactly why I think that people are looking for alternatives like Bitcoin. Personally, I have more trust in a currency that's built on math and scarcity rather than something that's just built on, I guess, trust, kind of some trust and credit. Then again, there's no perfect solution out there, and there's a lot of people to support in the world. If you found this breakdown helpful, if you could please hit like so more people can see it, and subscribe for more simple explanations on how money actually works and my thoughts around it as we are learning together.